Let's go to the US now, where Donald Trump has posted a $175 million bond in his New York civil fraud case. In February, he was found to have fraudulently inflated property values. It means he can now proceed with his appeal against a $454 million fine without the possible seizure of his assets. Mr. Trump claims it's all a political witch hunt. Of course, this is just one of several court cases he's facing, with others being criminal cases, with the potential for Mr. Trump to be jailed if convicted. As a reminder, let's look at the 4 criminal cases which the former president is facing. Well, there is the New York hush money case concerning a payment made to the adult film actress Stormy Daniels shortly before the 2016 election. Mr. Trump is facing 34 counts of fraud under campaign finance laws and has pleaded not guilty to all of them. Meanwhile, in Georgia, Donald Trump and some 18 other defendants are accused of criminally conspiring to overturn his very narrow defeat in the state of Georgia in the 2020 election. This case involves a huge racketeering investigation. Mr. Trump was facing 13 criminal counts, 3 of which have been dismissed by a judge. Again, Mr. Trump has entered a plea of not guilty. Another case involves allegations that Mr. Trump pressured officials to reverse the 2020 election results, knowingly spread lies about election fraud, and sought to exploit the Capitol riot on the 6th of January 2021 to delay the certification of Mr. Biden's victory and stay in power. He's been charged with 4 criminal counts and denies any wrongdoing. Finally, there's the classified documents case concerning whether the former president mishandled files by taking them from the White House to his Mar-a-Lago residence after he left office. There are 8 individual counts, all of which Mr. Trump has pleaded not guilty to. All of this comes to a total of 91 criminal charges across the 4 cases. But let's turn to that civil case, which of course does not involve criminal charges and was brought in a lawsuit by New York Attorney General Letitia James. The case was brought using a law that gives the state's Attorney General broad power to investigate allegations of persistent fraud and illegality in business dealings. And we'll be able to get into that with our next guest. Joining me is Sarah Kristoff, former prosecutor for the Southern District of New York. Sarah, just give us some more details about the civil case that Mr. Trump is facing.
Yes, the Attorney General used what is in her power to do. They used some very broad statutes in New York to prosecute these crimes, to charge the former president, his family members, and the company itself with fraud in connection with sort of how they represented their value to banks from whom they are getting loans.
And Mr. Trump has posted this $175 million bond, but he hasn't had to post the higher number. Can you just talk us through why that's happened?
Yes, so Trump has appealed the decision of the lower court. So the proceedings before the court, where it was a bench trial, it was not a jury trial, which means the judge made the decisions here. The former president has appealed that to the sort of next level court in New York. And in doing so, he has asked the court to sort of hold off on pursuing his assets, pursuing the judgment against them. And then there was essentially a negotiation or what the president would put up, what he would post as a bond while this appeal was pending. And ultimately, they decided that the appeals court allowed him to post a bond at this $175 million number, much less than the full amount of the judgment against him.
And what happens with this case next?
So the appeals process has to play out. So there'll be a number of months for the president to sort of perfect his appeal, finish his appeal. The appeals court will make a decision, and depending on that decision, it could be appealed even further up the courts to the Court of Appeals, which is the highest court in New York.
OK, Sarah Kristoff, former prosecutor for the Southern State of New York, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.